12 News Eye on Agriculture with Britton Rucker.
Hurdles and uncertainty surrounding passing the $1.5 trillion farm bill in 2024. What the holdups are amid this election year. Plus, part 2 with Roger McGowan as we take a look back at the biggest cases of 2023 and the ag litigation world. And Kansas was recently named a top state when it comes to economic status. We'll hear from experts who explain why farming is helping the state's economy flourish. Good evening and welcome into Eye on Agriculture. I'm Britton Rucker. Hurdles and uncertainty surround passing the $1.5 trillion farm bill in 2024. Major challenges include negotiations over government spending bills and the complexity of moving substantial legislation during an election year are looming as obstacles to pass a 5-year $1.5 trillion farm bill in this year. Industry groups like the American Farm Bureau Federation urging House and Senate ag panels to focus on the farm bill once government-wide spending disputes are hopefully resolved. A Texas rancher's case against his home state is being heard at the Supreme Court level. The case centers on whether a private citizen can sue a state in federal court. It's after Texas built an elevated highway near a Texas rancher's property, blocking the natural flow of water. When Hurricane Harvey hit in 2017, it turned his ranch into a lake.
We lost numerous vehicles. 4 homes on the place were flooded. Upwards over 60 head of cows and bulls and numerous calves, some horses and colts.
Normally, the government would pay him back under the Fifth Amendment, but state lawyers argue you can only sue if it's a local or federal government who wrongs you, not the state. If the justices side with the argument, private citizens would have no alternatives if the state takes or damages their property. Justices are expected to reach a decision by spring. The superintendent of Haven Schools tells us a Yoder charter school will close at the end of the year. Board members cited declining enrollment and the financial impact as the reason behind the closure. Students at the Yoder Charter School will now attend class in Haven. The superintendent says there won't be job cuts as a result of this transition. The state's economic status is among the top in the nation when it comes to the market value of goods and services. That's according to a third-quarter report released by the Bureau of Economic Analysis. July to September, Kansas's GDP was the top in the nation and expanded by 9.7%. It wasn't long ago that economists were predicting an imminent economic recession. But as 12 News reporter Brandon Stitt found, for Kansas, it's a different story.
There's a lot of fundamental drivers to this economy.
One of those drivers brings us back to what Kansas is known for, farming. Economist Jeremy Hill with Wichita State University.
The biggest driver to the overall output, the overall value of the economy growing, has been one sector, and it's agriculture. Agriculture represents about 53% of that 9.7% growth.
And when farmers do well, so did the rest of us.
We benefit as an entire state when agriculture does well. And so it's been really driving our overall economy.
But farming doesn't account for all of the growth.
Our overall manufacturing is very robust and healthy and growing. And some of this is the existing industries, like aerospace and other machinery and food production that we do in the state. Then we have all these new industries that are coming in and expanding, and we've had lots of investments over the last 2 years, 3 years.
With the economy in such good shape, manufacturers are looking for well-trained employees. And that takes me to WSU Tech, where they're seeing record-breaking enrollment numbers.
This past fall, we had record enrollment, the biggest enrollment in the history of the college. Every program that we offer and every graduate that walks out of here has in-demand, relevant skills that those businesses and industry are willing to pay for.
And that workforce demand is expanding.
Aviation and advanced manufacturing is really kind of the heart of what we do in many of our areas, but we're also seeing influxes in other manufacturing areas like welding, CNC machining. Our information technology program is booming right now.
You may not feel all of it today, but the economy is expanding, and we're going to see more of that expansion and growth.
In Wichita, Brandon Stitt, 12 News.
The extreme cold to make it hard for Kansas farmers to take care of their cattle. We'll hear from one farmer out in Sumner County on the problem coming up on Eye on Agriculture.